hope will help catch suspects in hit-and-run crimes.
We've seen since 2007 nearly 1,000 hit-and-run, severe hit-and-run accidents or fatalities here in the city of Los Angeles. That's roughly 100 a year. With that, it's too many. One is too many.
Councilman Mitchell Englander speaks to city council members about putting pressure on state lawmakers in formulating a bill for the Medina Alert, similar to the Amber Alert issued in the case of a missing person. This alert would ask motorists to be on the lookout for suspects' vehicles in hit-and-run cases.
What we're trying to do is utilize technology that we already have in place today, utilize Nixle systems, utilize Amber Alert systems, cell phone alerting systems.
Councilman Englander says hit-and-runs are cowardly acts.
When you hit someone and leave and flee the scene and don't stop to render aid, don't call 911. When you do that, we will no longer in the city call that an accident. It is a crime.
The hit-and-run alert system started in Denver, Colorado, and has been a success with 13 hit-and-run apprehensions and convictions.
Councilmember Joe Buscaino agrees with Councilman Englander. He says since Los Angeles has a reputation of being the hit-and-run capital in the country, something clearly needs to be done.
Enough is enough. And if this bill in Sacramento is going to do just that, then we need to call upon all cities across California to adopt this resolution.
The council unanimously voted to urge state lawmakers to adopt the Medina Alert. I'm Tara Gibson, reporting for LA This Week.
As it does every year, the country took time out this past Memorial Day to remember America's fallen war heroes. Anna Marcos takes us to the 25th annual Canoga Park Memorial Day Parade.
About the only thing not decked out in red, white, and blue was this beautiful prancing horse. Well, there was the tiny cowboy, among others. But almost everywhere you looked, flag colors were the theme of the day. People in patriotic hues found a million ways to wave the flag and honor our war vets on this Memorial Day, the 25th annual celebration for the Canoga Park Parade. Mayor Eric Garcetti showed his red, white, and blue fervor with a tie.
We're remembering the fallen today. We're remembering those heroes who gave us our freedom.
Wesley Spottiswoode came out with 30 friends and family members, a yearly tradition.
This is my 19th time, and I'm 19 years old. Same spot every single year to honor our veterans.
A contingent of soldiers honored some of the oldest veterans of all, the Buffalo Soldiers, which made up the first African-American cavalry to fight for the U.S. Army in 1866.
We're out here at the biggest Memorial Day parade in the entire city of Los Angeles, Canoga Park West Hills Memorial Day. I'm just so proud of all the veterans that have come out and all the community volunteers.
I'm riding here with a veteran named Fred Flores, known a long time. And we're just waving everybody, saying hello to everybody.
Red, white, and blue may have been popular for the day, but the miniature ponies, the tiny martial arts pros, and the Mexican gauchos all help prove that U.S. patriotism comes in all shapes, sizes, and colors. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
And over in San Pedro, hundreds of folks paid their respects by visiting the USS Iowa on Memorial Day. Yana Kay has more.
As a symbol of America's strength and power, the USS Iowa in San Pedro stands tall and proud, but also serves as a reminder of veterans who perished fighting for our freedoms.
We not only recognize those who paid the ultimate sacrifice for our country, but we also give thanks to the family members of those loved ones who were left behind.
With its powerful 16-inch guns on display, the USS Iowa was the main attraction as hundreds came to visit the battleship during the second annual Memorial Day tribute.
To really acknowledge the sacrifice of not only our generations and all the generations before us that support the American way of life and how we got to this point, because without their sacrifice, we wouldn't be here today.
During the ceremony, officials including Councilmember Joe Buscaino, Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti, and Congresswoman Janice Hahn dedicated a wreath in honor of America's armed services.
Let us recommit as Americans to not leave one veteran behind when they come home.
Mayor Eric Garcetti also reaffirmed his commitment to returning veterans.
That those who are coming home don't wind up taking their lives don't wind up on our streets, don't wind up in lines of unemployment, but that they will wind up as Americans. That each one of us has that responsibility not just to greet them with a hug and a smile, but with a job, with the training, with the counseling, with the housing that they deserve.
A pledge to give back to those who continue to serve and sacrifice. I'm Yana Kay for LA This Week.
Yana's report touched on the mayor's commitment to assisting veterans transitioning from military to civilian life. Gil Reyes has more on how the mayor hopes to accomplish that.
Veterans from all branches of the U.S. Armed Forces gathered at City Hall to network and learn tips on how to succeed outside military life.
A lot of information if they just want to go ahead and start up a company, supportive housing, mental health services, and just to get them on the road to the next level.
We're at LA Mayor Eric Garcetti's Veterans Business Summit, where one of the tips is a one-stop shopping website to help veterans find employment, housing, also medical and mental health services. We'll provide that information at the end of the story. The mayor, a lieutenant in the Naval Reserves, also wants to thank other men and women who've served our country.
Not just a hug, not just a welcome home, but policies to support them as they go through their lives transitioning back and making sure that they become the warriors to strengthen our economy, our communities, our city, and our country.
LA City probably has more veterans in this city than any other city in the nation.
An estimated 120,000 U.S. veterans live in the LA area. The mayor recently launched his Military Veterans Advisory Council. It consists of LA City residents who've either prominently served or had family members serve in the U.S. military. The group is expected to help LA City leaders create new policies benefiting veterans. The mayor is expected to be progressive in his approach, partnering with state and federal governments, also nonprofits, to increase opportunities for those who've served. At City Hall, Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
You can learn more about the Mayor's Veterans Advisory Council with information on a host of services for local veterans by visiting lamayor.org/vets. The death of a police officer nearly 35 years ago still haunts Police Chief Charlie Beck and others who worked with him. And now the police station where that officer served is helping keep his memory alive with a special tribute. It's a moment in his police career Los Angeles Police Chief Charlie Beck has relived time and time again, involving the death of a fellow officer.
Jim's car cleared the intersection with us right behind him. It was struck by a Cadillac that was southbound that had failed to stop for the red light.
On a warm summer day on August 2nd, 1979, James Choquette, a 10-year police veteran, was responding to a robbery radio call when his car was struck by a drunk driver. Chief Beck, at the time assigned to the southeast area as a patrol sergeant, was in the car behind him.
And when I went to Jim and tried to get him out of the car, it was unsuccessful because the car was so manual. And I will never forget him looking at me and saying, "Oh God," and passing on.
Nearly 35 years later, Beck chokes back emotions as the LAPD Southeast Area Police Station on 108th Street unveils a bench engraved with Officer James Choquette's name.
Jim and I have 3 grandsons together, and so it's nice to be able to share this part of it with them because they never met him.
They may not have ever met him, but Choquette's grandchildren, along with colleagues, friends, and family, now have a place to come where they can continue to honor his memory. An adjacent engraved brick area constructed by Southeast LAPD cadets honors past and current officers, volunteers, and others who have contributed to the South Los Angeles community. Families affected by the fire that destroyed the San Fernando Valley Rescue Mission in early May are getting a helping hand thanks to a donation effort led by the LA Dodgers, the LA Dodgers Foundation, and Councilmember Paul Krikorian. Yana Kay reports.
These ladies are dropping off some much-needed items to benefit the families of San Fernando Valley Rescue Mission, which suffered a devastating fire on May 3rd at its location in North Hollywood.
We brought women clothes, men clothes, kids clothes, shampoo,
soaps. 15 families were affected by the fire. The mission's emergency shelter, clothing warehouse, and food pantry were damaged. And to get them back on their feet, the LA Dodgers, the Los Angeles Dodgers Foundation, and Los Angeles City Council member Paul Krikorian's office held this donation event at Dodger Stadium. The Fire Family Foundation, which helps families and fire victims in need, donated $2,000 for the cause.
We help fire victims, and there were certainly a number of fire victims that were harmed in this situation. And the rescue mission does such wonderful work. We want to support those ongoing efforts.
Founded 16 years ago, the mission launched its family shelter in 2002 to provide emergency housing and other services to families in need. On average, half of the guests in the shelter are children under the age of 12, so any items for children are greatly needed.
Come out to our thrift stores, shop, all of that. All these goods go into our thrift stores to go back into our programs to help homeless families and homeless individuals in LA.
Councilmember Paul Krikorian, along with the Los Angeles Dodgers, delivered the donations from this event to the mission's thrift store in Sun Valley. I'm Yana Kay for LA This Week.
You can still make a donation. Go to rescuethemission.org for information. And next week, we take you to a donation drive for the Rescue Mission at City Hall, hosted by city leaders. Councilmember Bernard Parks and the Los Angeles Neighborhood Initiative team up to fix the worst sidewalks in South LA. Janine Robinson reports.
About 40% of the city sidewalks are in disrepair. We found a way to create a system to fix these sidewalks at what we think is a fraction of the cost of rather than having the city do the work.
District 8 and Lanny are repairing 130 of the worst sidewalks in the district, and the work is starting right outside the home of a longtime resident who's been concerned about her safety and that of her neighbors.
I was afraid to walk on the sidewalk, so I started going out my back door and coming in my back door. Because these steps, I was afraid to walk on these steps. And I was afraid for other people.
Repairing sidewalks, pruning roots, replacing uplifted slabs. It's not sexy, it's not glossy, there's nothing terribly exciting about that in a headline, but it's what people really need to improve the quality of their day-to-day life.
The first 45 sidewalks are set to be repaired immediately in this first round of repairs, and Councilmember Parks hopes to repair over 400 sidewalks over the next year.
Basically, the money that we're using is called AB 1290 money, which is money that comes from property tax, and we'll continue to use it for sidewalks, and we're going to use about $150,000 of it very shortly to trim another 1,000 trees above the city contract.
I'm very happy because something's going to be done.
I'm Janine Robinson in South LA, reporting for LA This Week.
Just to put things in perspective, the city has 11,000 miles of sidewalk. The LA River is once again open for recreational activities. One councilman joins in the fight to save 2 West Side businesses from being evicted. And one new pocket park honors the work of a former council member. These stories and more in City Beat. Council members Mitch O'Farrell and Nuri Martinez, whose districts include the Los Angeles River, have announced that the city, in partnership with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and the Mountains Recreation and Conservation Authority, has launched the LA River Recreation Zone. The Mountain Recreation and Conservation Authority says anyone can bring their kayak or other non-motorized navigable boat to either the Elysian Valley River Recreation Zone or the Sepulveda Basin River Recreation Zone from sunrise to sunset every day. For more information, go to lariverrecreation.org. The Ed P. Reyes Greenway on Humboldt Street and Avenue 19 in Lincoln Heights is now open. The green space is named after former District 1 Councilmember Ed Reyes, who championed making LA River a usable waterway and its surroundings into park space and bike paths. The Greenway, which is being maintained by the LA Bureau of Sanitation, has 2 entrances, walking paths, benches, native plants, and a bike rack, to name just a few features. There is also a storm drain that helps purify stormwater before it enters the LA River. You also get a nice view of the Gold Line train passing by. After 40 years at the location, Pepe's Galley and Phil Yoakum's Bowling Supply are facing eviction after a new corporation assumed ownership of the Mar Vista Bowling Alley at Venice and Grandview Boulevards. Support for the businesses grew as word of the eviction notices spread.
It's one of those places, every neighborhood has a place that is sort of, the heartbeat of the community, where people go, where they hang out. That's just sort of part of the community. It's sort of iconic.
Councilmember Mike Bonin even joined residents outside the businesses on a recent Sunday in protest in hopes of saving them from being shuttered. The Los Angeles Police Academy has graduated 29 officers at its most recent graduation ceremony. 25 graduates from Class 1213 will serve as LAPD officers. 2 will serve as officers for Los Angeles World Airports, and 2 more as University of Southern California public safety officers.
I made sure I dedicated myself in the studies, working out, and when the time came, I applied, and thank God I'm here.
I came from the fire service. Now I'm in the police service, and I love them both, so I'm here to serve.
And of the 25 officers going to LAPD, 20 are male and 5 are female. If you're planning to hit the beach this summer, we've got some good news. A new report shows big improvements in the water quality of local beaches. Yana Kay has more.
California beaches are some of the most beautiful in the country, and now they also offer some of the cleanest water on the West Coast. According to a new report by the environmental group Heal the Bay, the water quality at local Los Angeles beaches has greatly improved, including iconic Venice Beach and Oceanside at Cabrillo Beach in San Pedro.
Millions of folks who come to LA beaches that they can feel safe and going in the water.
But despite the improvements, the county still has many beaches suffering from overall poor water quality, such as the harbor side of LA's Cabrillo Beach, which came in 4th on the report's beach bummer list.
By assigning an A through F grade based on bacteria pollution, we're giving beachgoers the critical tool to make an informed decision about when and where they go to the beach.
The report shows that 90% of beaches in LA County got A's and B's during the dry summer months of 2013, mostly due to the record low rainfall, which reduces the amount of polluted water that flows into the ocean. This is Dockweiler State Beach in Playa del Rey. Now, it's one of 8 LA County beaches that made Heal the Bay's honor roll, meaning they got A's across the board for their water quality.
That's fantastic. Just fantastic. I don't know a kid that doesn't enjoy a day at the beach.
Officials say the improved water quality is also due to more LA residents capturing and reusing rainwater for irrigation and other uses. Efforts that are helping make a big difference for our beaches. I'm Yana Kay for LA This Week.
Additional beach grades can be found by going to beachreportcard.org. In this week's list of things to do, the Echo Park Farmers Market, a ceremony commemorating the 70th anniversary of D-Day, and dance performances at the park. A staple in the Echo Park neighborhood, the Echo Park Farmers Market continues to grow in popularity because of the ever-growing number of farmers and producers who participate on a weekly basis. Established in 2006, the Echo Park Farmers Market is open every Friday, rain or shine, from 3 to 7 p.m. and is held at parking lot 663 on Logan Street, just south of Sunset Boulevard. The next farmers market will be on Friday, June 6th. You'll get a great selection of produce, plus locally produced jams and jellies, honey, and fresh farm-grown flowers. For details, go to cla.org. On Saturday, June 7th, join the celebration of the 70th anniversary of D-Day at Berth 49, adjacent to the historic SS Lane Victory in San Pedro. The World War II D-Day landings in Normandy, France, represented the largest military operation in history. It was the beginning of the end of Nazi tyranny in Europe. A special tent ceremony for invited guests and other dignitaries will be held at 1 p.m. A number of exhibits will be available to view. A flyby of vintage aircraft is also planned. Free parking at Berth 49 can be accessed at 6th or 9th Street and Harbor Boulevard. For details, go to lawaterfront.org. Grand Park Downtown is partnering with Dance Camera West as part of a week-long dance and dance film festival. And on Saturday, June 7th from 6 to 11 p.m., park-goers can catch performances by the LA Contemporary Dance Company that will extend to the nooks and crannies of the park. The evening also features a presentation of the Lester Horton Awards and special screenings of the short film Beneath Our Own Immensity and the full-length documentary Miss Hill, Making Dance Matter. Grand Park is located at 200 North Grand Avenue. Go to grandparkla.org for details. And that's a look at some upcoming things to do. That's going to do it for this edition. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ellen Chang. A reminder that you could catch us online at lacityview.org. You can also follow and like us on Facebook. We'll see you back here next week for more of LA This Week.
There's more you can do to prepare for the next major earthquake in California. Don't fight a brick. The brick will win. DareToPrepare.org.
Hi, I'm Kevin from Chatsworth, offering you a taste of New Orleans since 1986. You're watching LA City View, Channel 35. Our city, our channel.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Want to welcome you to your Los Angeles City Council meeting. We're here in the lovely Valley today. We do have a quorum. I think we may have made history, members. It is 10 o'clock, members. It is 10 o'clock, and we are ready for business. With that said, Madam Clerk, if you could please call the roll.
Blumenfeld, Bonin, Buscaino, Cedillo, Englander, Fuentes, Huizar, Carrasco, Corrigan, Labange, Martinez, O'Farrell, Parks, Price, Wesson, 11 members present, a quorum, Mr. President.
All righty. First order of business.
Mr. President, approval of the minutes.
Let's, Mr. Bonin moves, Fuentes seconds. Next.
Committee to resolutions for approval.
Krikorian moves, Martinez seconds. That brings us where?
Mr. President, there's a request to continue item 1 to June 20th.
Without objection, that'll be the order.
Item 2 is an item notice for public hearing.
Okay, on item 2, why don't we just take item 2 up? Okay, so I think we're getting a request for a 30-day continuance on that item. That would bring us to what date?
To July 29th.
Okay, without objection. That brings us where?
Items 3 through 8 are items for which public hearings have been held.
Okay, so item 6 will continue until this coming Tuesday.
And that's June 10th.
Okay, cards, members. I mean, not cards. Do we have any cards?
No cards.
Okay, members.
Number 4, please, Mr. President, for purposes of an amendment.
Okay, number 4 for Mr. Krikorian. Let's vote on the remaining items. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
That brings us where?
Items 9 through 13 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration.
Okay, so without objections, those items are now before this body. Let us, members, specials, let us then prepare to vote. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Okay, so Madam Clerk, I think we can go to the presentation portion, and I'd like to call on one of our distinguished Valley members, Mr. Fuentes, to start us off today.
Good morning, colleagues. I'm honored to have with me today here Jim Pauls. He is the founder and CEO of the American Heroes Air Show. The American Heroes Air Show was established in Los Angeles in 1993, and since then has expanded to major cities such as Austin, Texas, Las Vegas, Nevada, and Seattle, and Washington, to name a few. The air show will be coming back home to Los Angeles on June 21st, and I'm proud to say that it will take place, as it always does, at Hansen Dam in the 7th Council District. Thank you, Mr. Lavange. This show is really important for a lot of reasons, but one of the chief reasons is that it honors real-life heroes who save lives, protect communities, and safeguard our environment every day. And this show also enables spectators from coast to coast to see and have the rare opportunity to view advanced military and civilian helicopters. How many helicopters are we going to have?
We're looking at 20 to 25.
20 to 25 helicopters are going to descend at Hansen Dam, and there will be a tremendous amount of activity. The events will educate the community with nonstop helicopter displays and tactical demonstrations. That means the helicopters are flying. Recruiting teams and exhibits, public safety and emergency preparedness displays, souvenir and concession stands. In addition to an exciting educational experience for our residents, this event will also host a career fair to provide the community with a behind-the-scenes view of reliable careers in public service. So please remember to stop by June 21st to this admission-free event. It's one of the largest events of its kind, aeronautical events in Los Angeles, and there is no admission. It's absolutely free. And you heard that there's going to be about 20 to 25 different helicopters, both static and dynamic displays. So come out to Hansen Dam in Lakeview Terrace, and while you're there, you can see the brand new Ranger Station, the future home of the Science Center, which will open up in November, as well as the Aquatic Center. So come on down to Hansen Dam on June 21st, and with that, I'll ask Jim to say a few words.
Thank you.
Welcome, Jim. Welcome. Let's give Jim a round of applause.
Thank you.
Thank you for the service you're providing.
Thank you so much for having me this morning. I appreciate so much the opportunity to receive this recognition on behalf of our entire volunteer team that puts this event together every year. This event and your support of this event helps us in a very dramatic fashion introduce the community to the valuable work done by our partners in fire, police, military, and homeland security. Without your support, this event would not be able to land at Hansen Dam, literally. So once again, I thank Los Angeles City, the Los Angeles City Council for supporting the American Heroes Air Show, and I'll second that personal invitation. We hope to see you and your families up at Hansen Dam June 21st. Thank you.
No, thank you.
And hours are 9 a.m. to 4 p.m.
And it's free.
And
it's free. Thank you, and thank you, Mr. Fuentes.
Thank you.
Okay, now before we move to our next presentation, I'm going to jump and take a couple of general public comment cards. Do we have Monica Alexenko and Beverly Simpson? If you please. Go right ahead.
Thank you. My name is Monica Alexenko, and I am the Kester Ridge Neighborhood Area Watch Captain. I wanted to thank Mr. Kokorian this morning. I spoke with his deputy director recently regarding the yellow signs plaguing so much of the Valley area that are promoting these "we buy" $1,000 used cars, $400. These are all illegal signage postings. And your deputy director was very responsive, informed me that each sign is a $300 fine, and she has spoken to Street Services, and there's an investigative enforcement officer assigned to this. So we thank you so much because it has been a horrible blight on all areas of the San Fernando Valley. Also, in regards to the loss of so many businesses in Los Angeles. We've seen Toyota exiting and now a very large division of Sony. I would urge the council to please make it a more business-friendly environment here in Los Angeles. We need to see a lowering of our sales tax and a more positive way to do business and not the pervasive handicaps of permits for so many of our businesses. So if you would please focus on this, it would be greatly appreciated. Lastly, I want to voice my support for the building of Station 39 on Oxnard Boulevard. It is the widest, most appropriate area for it. With a very quiet boulevard in the evening hours that provide easy access for our firefighters. So I thank you so much for your consideration.
Thank you very much. Ms. Simpson, followed by Jeffrey Lynn.
Hello, my name is Beverly Simpson, and I would just like to respond to the last person that the Fire Station 39 proposed new site, it is on a quiet street, but not all fires are on a quiet street. That truck still has to get out to Van Nuys Boulevard. And on Van Nuys Boulevard at Oxnard, there is a bus line. There are hundreds of people there every day. That fire truck who goes north to where most of the calls are from has to cross that bus line or the bus line has to stop. And there's a lot of people there. I live across the street. I live on Tiara Street for over 24 years. This is a form of taking. None of us are against the fire station. None of us are asking for walls, double-paned windows. That was mentioned at another meeting here. We don't want those. We never asked for them. I don't know where that rumor came from. This is a form of taking. My backyard, my house, my bedroom is 50 feet from the doors of the proposed new fire station. Please, can you imagine 50 feet? And by the city's own reports, they're expecting from the Bureau of Engineering 216 calls a day. Can I ask you, would any of you live across the street from a fire station 50 feet? I see a lot of you have your heads down. But could you please, I'm pleading for my life, my family, we're a large family, there's other families. We're not against the fire station and what they do. We're against the location. Again, it's a form of taking of all the residents on that street. To have a firehouse so close with 216 sirens a day. By law, they must exit with a siren on. The World Health Organization says that there will be hearing loss. There will be stress. Stress causes inflammation. Inflammation causes disease. Disease is heart attack, stroke, many other things. Look it up in the World Health Organization, and you'll find the.
Thank you so much. Do we have Mr. Labange?
May I give my card to the last public speaker?
Go, please.
I made this offer before, to take anyone who's concerned about the location of the firehouse and take them near where the mayor's house is, where Station 29 is, across the street from your old district, and the lessen the impacts are. This is a good location for the fire service for this area. So if the last speaker would like to
that
tour...
would be Ms. Simpson.
Ms. Simpson?
Okay, do we have Mr. Lynn? Jeffrey? Jeffrey Lynn? Come on, Jeffrey. Good morning, sir.
Good morning to you and to all the council members. We thank you for coming to our community this morning. My name is Jeff Lynn. I'm an attorney. I'm a member of the Van Nuys Neighborhood Council, and I live also 50 feet from this proposed fire station. This is not on the agenda, but we're here to tell you that the community in both CD4 and CD6 is opposed to the location of this fire station. The reasons that we're opposed are it will not improve response times, it will decrease response times and put lives in danger. The site is inappropriate. It is immediately south of the Orange Line. It is immediately to the west of Van Nuys Boulevard. It endangers school children who use Vesper. It increases the likelihood of a collision with the Orange Line. And we all remember what happened in Chatsworth, and we certainly don't want a repeat of that, which will result in millions of dollars in liability to the city, not to mention danger to us. The site is also unsuitable because it is toxic. There are underground storage tanks. Time does not permit me to list all the chemicals under there. The city doesn't know what's under there. They admit that. They don't know what to do with it. We recall what happened up in San Bruno. We recall the deaths, injuries, and liability that occurred there. We don't want a repeat of that. Ms. Simpson, my neighbor, has already addressed the noise, which would be unacceptable in any neighborhood, anywhere, compared to what it is now. And all of this was done without our input whatsoever. Our community is unanimously opposed to this, and we would hope that rather than fight about it, if Fire Station 39 in fact needs a new location, that the community work together, that the council work with us, that we find somewhere to put it that's satisfactory to everybody, that increases response times and does not endanger our community. And we would very much appreciate your cooperation in that regard. Thank you very much.
My name is Rabina Sewell. I'm a resident for 25 years. I want to support the prior speakers. I've had the honor of working with many of you before on many occasions, and I want to thank you for all of your communications that I've received. But I do want you to know that there's been a tremendous lack of transparency and communication from the Public Works Department. Because of the work that I've done for a very long time, I do know how to sign up for notifications. I do know how to contact my city council office, and it was disheartening to note that there was a meeting held and community members were not informed. So thank you so very much. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Bloomingfield, are you ready to proceed? Yes. All right, sir.
Mr. Miller, could I have you come up and join me here? And I think some of my colleagues may join as well. Today is a very exciting day. Mr. President, it is my distinct privilege to rise today to honor someone who has made a tremendous difference in the lives of so many people throughout the Valley. Steve Miller here grew up in the San Fernando Valley. He grew up in my council district, to be exact. He graduated from Canoga Park High School and from Pierce College, and he earned a master's degree in cultural anthropology from the University of California at Santa Barbara in 1976. After graduating, Steve worked for the Santa Barbara County Probation Department, and during his time there, he realized that a number of people who were on probation or parole were actually developmentally disabled adults who had unintentionally become involved with the criminal justice system. He took that awareness and became an advocate for people with disabilities. Throughout his career, he has established programs leading to the employment and independent living for thousands of Californians with developmental disabilities. Since 1990, he's served as the executive director of Tierra del Sol Foundation, which has grown to serve more than 500 men and women throughout the San Fernando Valley and North Los Angeles County, as well as the San Gabriel, Pomona, and portions of the Inland Empire. During his tenure at Tierra del Sol, he has helped that agency move into a leadership role in demonstrating the truly significant contributions that people with disabilities can make in society. People who participate in Tierra del Sol's training and employment programs now contribute to the vitality of our community through the taxes that they pay as employees of local businesses, through their purchasing power as consumers, through they patronize local shops and businesses, through the hundreds of hours of volunteer service that they provide for area residents, and through the exhibition of their exceptional work, whether it's in art or music or many of the areas that they engage in. In fact, examples of their artwork can be seen in both my Reseda District office in the municipal building and at City Hall. Steve has helped build opportunities for young people just starting out in life, as well as programs that provide counseling and support for families as they address life planning for the disabled adult children. He collaborated with the UCLA and the California Geriatric Education Center to develop and deliver a series of educational programs to prepare for the growing impact of aging consumers on the developmental disability service system. And Steve has led numerous grassroots advocacy campaigns and legislative efforts to improve the lives of people with disabilities, as well as the workforce who assist them. I have a very long and happy relationship with Steve. It started actually when I was with Congressman Berman. Our office there that was housed, our district office, a crew of Tierra students and a teacher kept that office clean. And I got to really work with them and with Steve. But the building was sold, and new owners wanted to get rid of the Tierra workers. Steve called me. We worked together, and we saved those jobs. When I was the chair of the Assembly Budget Committee, and we were facing cuts to programs with people with disabilities, Steve and I worked together again. And we spent many, many hours looking for ways to keep those cuts as far away from the clients as possible. And it took a lot of hard work and a lot of vision to be able to say, yes, we have to make these difficult cuts, but I'm not just going to say no and fall on my sword. I'm going to work with you to find a solution that takes a horrible situation and makes it into just a very bad situation. And shortly after I was elected to the Assembly, actually the first time, my wife Kathy had an event in our backyard, and Steve was there, and he met my father. And they ended up talking for quite some time and working together, and Steve then recruited him to be on the board. And ever since then, the two of them have been working together on these issues, and he's been a member of Steve's board for years. And I'm proud to say my father is here in the audience, along with a number of the other members of Tierra del Sol board and the family of the clients and staff. They're all here to support you, Steve. And another connection is my district director, Lynn Shaw, who is here somewhere hiding in the back. She worked for Steve and Tierra del Sol for 15 years. So when I say that we're connected, it is deep. And you know, whether or not, even if I'm not trying to do something, I've got Lynn, my district chief of staff, is always working with you and working on these issues. You know, ultimately, it isn't just about government, but families and friends and neighbors we're the ones who make up the important things in life. How we choose to live our lives as citizens, husbands, wives, parents, friends, the quality of our character. That's how Steve has lived his life. That's how he's run his organization. It is truly a family organization in that he serves folks with developmental disabilities, and he serves their families. And it really is a large community. And it's one that I know many members here, and I know other folks will say some words, have all interacted with because they do such incredible work. So I want to wish him well in his retirement. I want to wish the new incoming CEO, Rebecca Leinhardt, who's here, good luck. And you've got some very big shoes to fill. I don't think you can ever fill these shoes, but you can continue to do continue the great legacy that Steve has put forward. And I know that Steve is not just going to fall off the face of the earth. It's not in your constitution. You're going to continue to work for people with disabilities, and you're going to be an important partner for so many of us. And so we are so grateful to you and what you've done. And before I make this presentation, there may be some other members who want to speak.
And there are, Mr. Blumenfield. Starting off with Mr. Fuentes, followed by Mr. Krikorian.
And thank you, Bob, for bringing this important Angelino before us today. Tierra del Sol is in Council District 7,
yes,
but I'm really proud, Bob, that you're leading the charge here. Tierra del Sol is one of those organizations where we all fight to sort of represent them and demonstrate and highlight all the tremendous things that they do. Just the other night, Mr. Krikorian was calling me saying, "Are you at the golf tournament? Because I'm going to see you there." And he's out in Council District 2, but at one point also represented Tierra del Sol. Steve, it's a testament to your leadership. It's a testament to the 24 years that you've served this tremendous organization. It's all of the work that you all do at Tierra del Sol that makes all of us want to fight for you and with you on all of the things that you do. I want to highlight a couple of things that I think need to be said. So Tierra del Sol has been around for 43 years, and they serve a very unique, very privileged population, I think, because they've got great friends like you. They help adults with developmental disabilities. And under Steve's leadership, Tierra del Sol has been able to help over 700 people across Los Angeles County overcome cognitive, physical, emotional, and behavioral challenges resulting from developmental disabilities. His leadership has allowed these individuals to gain meaningful education, training, and employment. In fact, there's a statistics I think here that's amazing. There was an incredible program that you started, call it the Nexus program. And the average GPA of the students involved in this Nexus program, 3.26. Give that a big round of applause. I mean, that is a tremendous, tremendous achievement. We can go on and on, Steve, but I'm honored to call you an Angelino, and I'm honored to call you a partner in the 7th Council District, and I'm honored for all of the work that you've done for the city of Los Angeles and Tierra del Sol. So now I'll let the rest of my colleagues fight over you. Thanks, Steve.
Mr. Krikorian.
Thank you, Mr. President, and Mr. Blumenfield, Mr. Fuentes, thank you for your eloquent words in tribute of Steve. Very well merited honor. Tierra, as my colleagues have said, is a real treasure of the San Fernando Valley and all of Los Angeles. The services that this agency has provided to the developmentally disabled community for all these decades has been irreplaceable. It's been forward-looking. It's been visionary. And that's largely because of the leadership of Steve Miller. I first got to know Tierra through my dear friend, Mr. Blumenfield's district director, Lynn Shaw, long before I was in public service. And it was my great pleasure to be able to work directly with Steve on many issues that impacted this community throughout my time in the state legislature. And then it was an honor to be able to represent Tierra in the council before redistricting, when that was one of my saddest losses in my district, was losing Tierra out of my district, because this is a community treasure as well. And in addition to serving the developmentally disabled community throughout the valley and beyond, Tierra has been a great asset to the neighborhood as well. And it's one of those institutions that serves a broad area, but also opens its doors, as I'm sure you've experienced, Mr. Fuentes, to everybody in the community to come there and participate and be a part of the great resource that you have there and the great work that you're doing. But in addition to being very community-based, because of Steve Miller's leadership, Tierra has set a national standard, and in so many ways has created new and visionary programs that have formed the model for other programs throughout the country. So it's one of those rare entities that's very neighborhood focused, a great partner of the neighborhood, serves an entire community in our area, and yet sets the standard for the whole country. And that's due to the incredible leadership of Steve Miller and so many that he has brought into this mission to be a part of this great work. So Steve, congratulations. It's hard for me to imagine Tierra without you, but I know that it will go on and continue to do great service to our community because of the foundation that you've created, and that is going to be your great legacy. So congratulations.
Back to you, Mr. Blumenfield.
Well, great. Maybe Mr. Corey and Mr. Fuentes, why don't you come up and we'll give this wonderful framed certificate to Mr. Miller. So congratulations, Steve.
That's a handsome photo, guys. Steve, congratulations. Let's give Steve another round of applause for all of the work he's done for so many years. Hey, Bob, where's your dad? If we could get your dad, we want to give you a round of applause for having something to do with this great colleague we have.
Let's have Mr. Miller say a few words.
Please, I forgot you. Come on. Thanks again.
Well, I know that if you consider yourself a leader, you should really look behind you and see if there's anybody. Literally behind me is the Tierra del Sol Foundation, the staff that give night and day of their lives, the board members who are entirely volunteer community servants, and they make up the Tierra del Sol Foundation. Driving down here, I always listen to music, but I knew I had to be here on time, so I was listening to like traffic reports, and it's hard to not recognize that today is the 70th anniversary of the landing of the Allies at Normandy. So what I think is we owe them everything that we have today, that they fought with bullets so that we could fight in this arena with ideas and fight for votes in the ballot box. And so everything that we have, we owe to those that greatest generation ever. And then that leads me to remember that the first people that learned what the Nazis' final solution were people with disabilities. The belief that people with disabilities had no human value and no human worth led to that kind of Holocaust. If we've made any progress in those 70 years, it's because we now know that each and every human life has value and meaning and the potential to contribute to our greater human community. The meaning I can take out of my short time in this field is that I've been a small link in that chain that has believed in and fought for the human rights of the least among us. And they have demonstrated with their effort and their toil that they can work, that they can contribute, that they are artists, that they can engage in the civic arena and help us all be better and stronger people. So I feel like you shouldn't be thanking me. I feel like I should be thanking you for the leadership that you offer, and thanking our staff and our volunteer board and all of you for the opportunity to serve. Thank you.
Let's give Steve another round. Hey, and Steve, Mr. Miller, in just listening to you lets all of us know the tremendous leader that you were and that you will really be missed. A good leader always gives all of the credit to the individuals that work with him, and that's what you did. So you're aces in my book. I want to salute you myself. Let us vote for reconsideration. We have 12 members. Let's vote for reconsideration on item 3. This first vote is on reconsideration. Open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Okay, now we'll actually vote on the item. Let's open up the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Okay, and before I go to...
Please, Mr. President. Forthwith.
Forthwith on that item. Before I go to Ms. Martinez, if I could have Chuck Tinnen come forward and Candido Merez. Come on, Chuck. Good to see you.
Good morning. Chuck Tinnen. Channel 35 is no longer our city channel. It's now Time Warner's Monopoly City channel. You can't watch our city council meetings unless you pay for it as a privileged subscriber of Time Warner. But you can watch the LA County and the LAUSD for free. Now, the ability to access Channel 35 should be allowed by everyone in this city. Disabled, disadvantaged, handicapped, low income, and importantly, the aged. Our elected officials should guarantee public access to the decision-making process for all individuals in our city to access the digital divide that's separating people from our city government. LAUSD gets a sub-digital channel that everyone has access to watch. Why isn't the city of LA? The issue is to provide an over-the-air signal so that everyone in this city has the same ability to access Channel 35, our city channel. Herb Wesson, you could lead the way, and Tom LaBonge, you're close to the city, and you can put some emotion together to end this digital divide in our city. Most importantly, to level the playing field so that everyone in this city can watch Channel 35, our city channel, and our mayor, our city council, can present a resolution as a condition of carrying cable Channel 35 our city channel for public access to everyone. They would approve a city charter to the cable companies, AT&T and Direct, or Comcast and Time Warner, to operate in our city. If the cable companies can spend billions of dollars in a merger, surely they can carry Channel 35 signal so that all Angelenos can watch it. And in conclusion, God bless the USA on the 70th D-Day. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Chuck, and thanks for the fish, Mr. Labange.
Mr. Chuck, if you would provide the papers to the sergeant. I'm going to provide them to Karen at the CLA's office. I'd like a motion, what he just said. If the county could do it, LA Unified could do it, why can't we do it? Let's find out.
Candido? Candido.
Good morning, Mr. President, council members. Good morning. Candido Maris, proud resident of the 12th District, and someone who has had a 40-year love affair with the city of Van Nuys. Now, why do I say that I've had a love affair with the city of Van Nuys? I'll tell you what it is. It's the people. I don't care where you go in Van Nuys. You have the variety of people in this city. You don't know where they come from, but they seem to all have great hearts and who are always willing to work with you if you can come to a mutual understanding. It's like we've been fighting for Ms. Benavides. We hoped that we would have that ready, but I know Ms. Martinez's office is working towards that, and one day, hopefully maybe by September, we'll be able to celebrate Ms. Benavides, who is an American hero and also a community hero. Last Saturday, Ms. Martinez had a wonderful event, and we were able to meet a lot of new people in the community. Ms. Martinez, that was an excellent, it was probably one of the best cleanups. We did a lot of work, but more importantly, the organization, as far as your office, the way everything was set up, it was perfect. Again, we met a lot of wonderful people, and that's the way I hope that we can continue. And that's why I love the people who are fighting against you on item 39, Ms. Martinez. These are just good people fighting for their community. And that's what you want in your constituents. You want someone who believes in what they're fighting for. So please, I hope that we can work together. We can sit down all together and see if we can come up with it. Can you imagine that? You're coming up for re-election. We look forward to another 12 years. And can you imagine that, working with the community from 39? And if we're able to work out a solution, and we can make this a better community. So thank you, Ms. Martinez. And I want to thank the community fighting Fire Station 39, because without fight, we can't come up with good resolutions and good solving problems, okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Candido. And as Ms. Martinez makes her way, let's take up item 4. It's my understanding that the amendment has been circulated. So let's take up item 4. Let us open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Ms. Martinez.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Just want to make sure we're all, is everyone here? Great. Well, it's my pleasure to stand here and recognize the Sun Valley High School boys varsity soccer team and their head coach, Oscar Cardenas. These young men have made it very clear that in the Valley, they are the best when it comes to soccer. And for the 3rd year in a row, these young men have been recognized as Los Angeles City Division III champions. And with a record of 18-3-1 this year, these boys have dedicated to playing great soccer. This is quite an achievement. I believe these young men should get an education and give back to their communities as well. And this is why I'm especially proud to recognize them today, because they really do understand that there is more to life than just sports. Their head coach, Oscar Cardenas, has instilled in them the spirit of community service in every single thing that they do as students and as community members in Sun Valley. The team has joined us in many local neighborhood cleanups in Sun Valley, and they represent their team really well. As a matter of fact, in the classroom, they're also succeeding. He's not here this morning, but I want to recognize forward Harley Contreras, also joining and representing the Sun Valley Robotics team. He'll be representing California in the National Robotics Competition in Florida next year. He couldn't be here this morning, but I wanted to acknowledge him. As the Daily News named Oscar Cardenas Coach of the Year for his success on the field, I also believe that Coach Cardenas also has many successes off the field. And today I'm so proud to congratulate you on your ongoing successes, and I expect to hear great things from you in years to come. It is my pleasure to introduce Coach Oscar Cardenas.
Welcome, Coach.
Gracias, muchas gracias. Buenos días a todos los miembros. Estoy tan emocionado esta mañana por el bonito detalle que nos ofrecen a todos mis jugadores, a mi cuerpo técnico y a mis representantes de la escuela, como es la directora y la subdirectora atlética. En este momento...
¿Quieres dar un momento para traducir?
Ya. Estoy agradecido por este reconocimiento que nos entregan.
I'm very thankful for this acknowledgement that you are giving us.
Mi nombre es Oscar Cárdenas y vengo en representación de la Escuela Sun Valley High School.
My name is Oscar Cardenas, and I'm coming here to represent Sun Valley High School.
Y estamos tan emocionados esta mañana por venir a tener un detalle de parte de ustedes.
We are very emotional this morning because we are receiving this honor from you today.
Por haber logrado 3 veces el campeonato de CIF.
Because we were able to accomplish the CIS championship 3 times.
En un corto periodo de tiempo.
In a very short period of time.
A pesar de que somos una escuela pequeña.
Despite of the fact that we're a very small school.
En 4 años hemos logrado un trabajo excelente gracias a mi cuerpo de colaboradores.
In 4 years, we have been able to accomplish a great goal, thanks to my support team.
Okay, muchas gracias.
Thank you very much.
Ms. Martinez, we welcome your champions, and we can do better than that. Let's give them a round of applause. These guys are champs.
Thank you. And we have one last speaker. I'd like to introduce Principal of the Sun Valley High School, Clara Heron.
Thank you. Good morning. I just want to say, first of all, thank you so much to Councilwoman Martinez for all of her support with Sun Valley as we continue to really move forward with our school and show great improvements. I am Claire Herren, the principal. I want to thank Coach Nahar, Coach Oscar, and our athletic director, Ms. Matthews, who have been very supportive with the team. Congratulations to our students who are strong in their academics as well as in their athletics. They are true student athletes. And Sun Valley High School has completed 5 years as of yesterday, and we are so proud of our students for starting strong academic and athletic traditions at Sun Valley. So thank you very much for your support.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, and it's my pleasure on behalf of the City of Los Angeles to congratulate you on your win, and I look forward to doing great things with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Now, thank you all so very much. And as they move away from the podium, if I could get Mr. David Hernandez, please come forward, and Linda Gravani, please come forward. Yes, sir. Welcome.
Good morning, David Hernandez, Valley Village, and good morning, Los Angeles. As a Vietnam veteran, I know quite well the sacrifices that our men and women in the military go through. In addition, I also know the sacrifices and the challenges that the families of those in the military go through. And I believe that we as a society have an obligation to those who have served, who are going to serve, and who are serving today. Now, there is an injustice which is taking place that does not necessarily involve a resident of Los Angeles, but I believe as Americans we have an obligation, especially as civilians, to do what we can to support the men and women in the military and their families. Sitting in a jail in Mexico is Sergeant Andrew Tamarsi. He's been there for 2 months. The fact pattern clearly indicates that he is being unjustified being held, and that so far letters and pleas from elected officials, press and the media, and the cries of a mother have gone unheeded and unanswered. As an American, as an individual, as I said, that we have an obligation to do what we can. Therefore, until Andrew is released, we are beginning a boycott of Mexico and Mexican-based companies in the city of Los Angeles, commencing June 11th at the Mexican Consulate at 2401 West 6th Street in Los Angeles. We urge all of you who support the families of those serving in the military to participate and join us as we launch this boycott. We want a prisoner exchange for Andrew Tamarsi, and that we will end the boycott the minute he is released. Thank you.
Thank you for your service, Vietnam.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Linda Gravani, Council District 6. I was recently reelected to the Lake Balboa Neighborhood Council.
Congratulations.
And I became president. Thank you. I wanted to introduce myself to council, and having run my first meeting, I wanted to get some tips on how to run an efficient meeting. Thank you.
Thank you and congratulations, and we're sure you'll do well. Okay, Mr. Koretz, for our next presentation.
Well, colleagues, and especially my Valley-based colleagues, we have a historic event in the making. Photo Friends and the Los Angeles Public Library are working to preserve 45,000 photographs from the defunct Valley Times newspaper collection by digitizing them. Their mission is to preserve the images with high-resolution files and make them accessible through the public library website. The library has now digitally scanned and archived 3,200 of its 45,000 photographs. Photo Friends in the Los Angeles Public Library have dedicated countless hours in preserving this collection from the Valley Times. The collection has significant snapshots of politics, women's history, culture, sports, and various movements in the San Fernando Valley. The photographs capture major changes throughout the valley and uniquely documents the tremendous change during the post-war era. This is an outstanding archive collection that they're trying to preserve. I was quite amazed after looking at some of the historic photographs, like the ones we see on the screen there. These are one-of-a-kind photographs that capture decades of experience in the Valley region, and I'm so pleased the general public will have access to this tremendous collection. In total, the project is estimated to cost $515,000, of which it has raised the first $39,000. For more information, you can visit valleytimes.org. I'd now like to invite two guests to tell us a little bit more about the project and how we can help make it come to fruition. From Photo Friends, we have Christina Rice, and from the LA Public Library, we have John Sabo. So let's start with Ms. Rice. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's start with John Sabo from the LA Public Library.
Thank you so much, Councilman Koretz, and good morning to all of you. As you know, the Los Angeles Public Library provides amazing services and has incredible collections. And one of those collections that the councilman has just talked about is one that we are incredibly proud of. There are 3.4 million photos in the photo collection of the Los Angeles Public Library, one of the largest in the nation and in the world. And one of the real gems in this collection is the Valley Times collection. And please take time to explore it. It's incredible. And one of the things that we really want to do is digitize this collection. And thousands of images have already been digitized to share not only with residents of the San Fernando Valley and across the city of LA, but through international platforms, researchers and people all across the globe so that they can access and make use of these images. We've applied for and received grants to help us in this effort to digitize them. And it's my pleasure to introduce Christina Rice, who is an incredible champion and ambassador of this collection and who works with her colleagues at the Los Angeles Public Library to help make it accessible every single day. And so, again, one of the great employees, as you know, of the Los Angeles Public Library, Christina Rice.
Thank you. Good morning, and I do want to thank Councilmember Koretz for inviting me to come here and tell you all about the Valley Times collection. Unfortunately, the president of my friends group, Amy Enaway, was ill and not able to be here today, so I'm representing the library and Photo Friends. And I figured the best way to introduce you to the Valley Times collection, which was a daily paper published in North Hollywood from 1946 to 1970, not to be confused with the Van Nuys News or the Green News or the Daily News. Incredibly unique, wonderful newspaper that really captured the civic engagement and the community involvement of the Valley. And so now I want to introduce you to it by letting the pictures speak to themselves and take you on the tour of the Valley. So first on our first slide, these kids are showing you their tonsils for the very last time because they are on their way to the hospital to have their tonsils taken out. It's a very community-oriented collection. Next, we're going to move over to Council District 2. This is Councilperson Leland Warburton at a real estate development exhibit. So much development was going on in the Valley in the post-war era. This is 1948. Oh, thank you. That they had to actually have an exhibit sponsored by the LA Planning Commission because planning, as you see, does mean a better city. Next, we're going to move over to Council District 12, where a bus full of cadets from the Northridge Military Academy happened to be driving past the intersection of Zelza and Nordhoff, where a truckload of oranges fell over. So what would a busload of cadets do? Of course, they're going to pull over, they're going to get out, and they're going to box up all of these oranges, which is what they did in 1963 in September in 100-degree valley heat. But it's not all work for the youth of our valley. Next, we're going to go over to this lad. This is Mike Miller. He looks kind of sad, but he's actually really excited because he has arrived at Griffith Park. This was for your benefit, Mr. LaBonge. He has arrived at Griffith Park for the North Hollywood Camperino, where he can learn about training. His biggest problem is he was so excited, he just got there too early. And so now he's just waiting for everybody else to show up and kind of manning down the camping gear. This was an event that was held to teach scouts from all around the valley all about camping. And it's not only the kids that get to play, it's also the adults. And we move on to Council District 6. This is the opening of the Tom Thumb Family Hobby Center in Panorama City. Doesn't that look fun? Yeah, I want to go there. We have Bert Lane of the center. We have Phil On, who is the honorary mayor of Panorama City, which I really think honorary mayors should come back. We also have... Oh, keep going? Oh, okay. Kermay, can we go back one slide? Thank you. Sorry. And we also have Miss Panorama City, because there were lots of misses, and we have the City of Panorama City Chamber of Commerce there having fun at the opening, and the paper was there to cover it. We can move on to the next slide. Valley people sometimes do go over the hill, as two members of the Encino Auxiliary of Women Against Cancer came over to Dodger Stadium, where they're inviting Dodger Ron Ferry and his wife Mary to one of their fundraising events. They are members of Council District 5. And it's a lot of fun. It's a light collection. Sometimes they'd hit the hard-hitting news as we move over to Council District 7. And this is the corner of San Fernando Road and Van Nuys, which has been, in 1961, named as the 5th worst intersection in the valley. I'm not sure what it means by worst, and I'm not sure what the previous 4 were, but this one had this designation. Next, we're going to go to Council District 3. This is Gilbert Gibb Lee, and he is at the Blythe Center Science Center. And by science, it's actually farming. This is a place where every year 1,500 fifth graders from around the valley would go to learn about farming. The animals apparently could be checked out like a textbook. If teachers wanted to come check out farm animals, they could. They'd have to bring them back, though, just like library books. And even though the Blythe Science Center is no longer there, the location actually still serves the fifth graders of the area as Blythe Elementary. And that's one of the things, as we've been digitizing this collection, we're starting to resurrect Valley stories that maybe had been lost over the years, such as, we go to the next slide. This is Nancy Avery in 1961. She's being installed as the first African-American postmaster or postmistress of a major California city. At the time, the president appointed the postmaster, so John F. Kennedy appointed her. She held the position until 1984. We move on to the next slide. This is, I think, one of the more interesting stories we've come across in the Valley Times. This is Marion Miller, and she's a former teacher, and here she is running for a seat on the Board of Education. And if you look at the people watching her, they seem a little bit bored, and she did indeed not win her run for the Board of Education. But that's okay. The reason why we want to remember Marion Miller is because for 5 years, she infiltrated the Communist Party as a volunteer spy of the FBI. She recorded her experiences in a book called I Was a Spy, and if you're just really interested, you can go down to Central Library to our Social Sciences Department. Call number 335.409-794, M as in Miller 649. And finally, I'm going to show you one more story we've been able to resurrect, and I really want to introduce you to. This is Frances Muir Pomeroy. She was a Valley pioneer. That was one of the major themes of the Valley Times. They loved the pioneers, the people that had been here and really cultivated the area. She came to Lankershim, which is now North Hollywood, in 1907 from Washington State, and lived on an orchard, which now is occupied by the site of North Hollywood High. In the 50s and 60s, she was known as the Valley's chief historian. She was president of the San Fernando Historical Society, and she frequently showed up to events, including council meetings, in her traditional pioneer outfit. Sometimes if she wanted to modernize it a little bit, she would keep the bonnet in the top and just wear a black pencil skirt. But she worked tirelessly to preserve the history of the Valley, to save landmarks, to have monuments installed. And I think we really should remember her and remember her efforts as we move forward. And in this picture, she's holding a bell. That was one of the first bells at North Hollywood High, and a bucket of peaches, which represents when North Hollywood was known as Lankershim, home of the peach. So, a lot of people are aware that we have a big photo collection. We also have the photos of the Herald Examiner. Lots of people know we have the Herald Examiner. Not so many people know we have the Valley Times. We've had the collection actually for almost 30 years, and we've focused on a lot of our other collections, but now the time has come to share the Valley's history, not just with the people of the Valley, but with everyone. So I hope you'll help me in being advocates for this collection and support it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That was wonderful.
Oh. And I actually do have some packets I'm going to leave behind if you want to take a closer look at some of the photos, but they are all Valley districts.
Thank you.
I'd like to ask Mr. LeBon just to say a few words as well.
Thank you, Mr. Koretz. You do such a great job in finding this out. I know Photo Friends is so special. Just to give a little history, Security Pacific Bank had all the photos of Los Angeles. And when they went out of business, they gave them to the Los Angeles Public Library. And Kathy Kabashi and Carolyn Cole were two librarians. And they looked at the pictures, Miss Martinez, and it really did not represent Los Angeles. It represented what was the white Anglo-Saxon Protestant community. So they together came up with the Shades of L.A., and they went to branch libraries throughout the city of Los Angeles, and they asked people to bring their own family albums in, whether it was the Benjamin Franklin branch in Boyle Heights or Angeles Mesa, or wherever it was, they went, and they got the collection now. And if you get a chance, it's the library store, Mr. Fuentes. You can sign my name, you only, because it's your birthday tomorrow. Shades of Los Angeles. Get the book, look at it, and you'll enjoy it. I just want to thank you, librarians, pass it forth. I'll give you a little money on this. I got to give you more. And there's volunteers who could help out on this. Our library is one of the greatest. You can see right here. Can you see this, Mr. Fuentes, right here? The greatest in the world. Let's hear it for the Public Library and Photo Friends. And Mr. Koretz, what was your branch library as a child?
Robertson.
Robertson. Did you ever have an overdue book?
Never.
Never. Very good.
Your secret is safe with me, Mr. Koretz.
Actually, I think I might still have one. Well, I'd like to ask all the Valley Council members to come up and join us taking a photo with the certificates that I'd like to present to Photo Friends and to the LA Public Library for their efforts in restoring and digitizing these 45,000 photographs.
Okay, if we can move the photo a little over to my left. And again, thank you. If I could have Daniel Gus, Herbert Thompson, and Marion Fogler. Good morning, Daniel.
Good morning, Mr. Wesson. Good morning, City Council. So far, nobody has accepted responsibility for 9,000 fewer animals. Your adoption rates just went down by 9,000 animals, and nobody's telling the public why. How did you go from 97,000 animals adopted over the past several years to 88,000? Somebody needs to at least tell the public what the city is going to do about that, because I don't want to have to write an article and have me set the tone of that. You know that this has happened. Somebody needs to explain it to the public and just say, hey, we lied about these 9,000 animals being adopted when they weren't. They went from one cage in a city shelter to another cage in a city shelter, and Animal Services told the public that they were adopted and then took in hundreds of thousands of dollars in grant money based on inflated numbers. Speaking of things not happening, Animal Services has nothing on its calendar of events, not even commission meetings for June, nothing on its calendar events, even the commission meetings for July, nothing on its calendar events, even commission meetings for August. And if that's progress, man, I don't know. I just don't know. But what Animal Services has been doing lately is sending out emails telling people that if you portray Animal Services in a negative way, in my opinion, I assume that means criticism, through social media or any other form of communication, you may have your New Hope privileges suspended. Really? So once we point out that thousands of animals weren't adopted, that they went from one cage to another, Animal Services is threatening to suspend your bail privileges? How is that helping animals? It's not only causing animals to lose their lives, it's costing the city hundreds of thousands of dollars. So here's the threat, Monday, May 19th, 12 o'clock, threatening people for criticizing Animal Services. That's amazing.
Thank you, Daniel. Where's Mr. Thompson? Followed by Marion Fogler, followed by Donna Pearman.
Good morning, Mr. President.
Morning, sir.
How are you doing today?
Great.
Today, I'd just like to address some with Mrs. Martinez and Mr. Fuentes from District 6 and 7. As a stakeholder in District 6, I've been living in Van Nuys for the last 10 years, and we have one of the hidden jewel here, which is the Van Nuys High School Medical Magnet Program, which I will be working closely with the school to get more publicity about that. And also with District 7, I am the Executive Director of Pacoima Community Youth Culture Center. I've been trying to contact your office, trying to get a meeting to get support for our organization. I'm sure you know Mr. Leroy Jeters, who is the CEO and founder of Pacoima Community Youth Culture Center. We just want to know and get more support and get more activities for African Americans here in the Valley. We don't have no representations in any of the districts for African American that's targeting our children. I have a child that's in Sylvan Elementary School here. I have a child that's in Van Nuys Middle School, and I have a daughter that's finna attend the Medical Magnet Program here in Van Nuys. As a parent, I'm really concerned because a lot of our children are losing their identity because they don't have no representation. As I look on the board, I don't see too much representation for African American. As a civil rights activist and a crime victim advocate, I am going to start holding people accountable and putting people's feet to the fire to make sure that future for my family and for others that we will be heard. Thank you.
Ms. Fogler, followed by Donna Pearman, followed by Rick Nightingale.
Somebody left their notes.
Yes, good morning. I just want to let you know that it's appalling to see the alternate events that are taking place that including their gun buyback is a bunch of bogus. The people should be selling them to the gun stores because the gun stores can sell them for market value and you wouldn't lose money on them. This is a propaganda stunt to disarm us, to take away our freedoms, because right now they just released 5 terrorists. We are in trouble. I told the guard downstairs, I said, you don't have to tear up my purse. I'll take everything out. I'm cooperative. But he didn't want to do that. I wore an American flag. I'm proud, and I'm glad to do what I can to make our country secure. But you can't disarm the law-abiding citizens and take away our First Amendment right to speak here. Have Van Nuys video feed open here. They just opened up a paper here, the LA County Register. They just put an article in there, and I don't know if the folks know that, but it's at 7-Eleven stores. Just letting you know that right now we can't allow ourselves to be disarmed. Okay, we don't want another tragedy to come forward. My father, he died 2 years ago. He fought hard for his country. You know, we got to have our freedoms sacred. Hold them dear, and we need to get the CCWs and the right to carry. The criminals and terrorists are going to have them, and we need to protect ourselves and our communities and our country. We don't have time to play charades here. This is really serious. Please don't let your guard down, and please don't heed to the politicians crying, oh, guns are the cause. It's people.
Thank you. Donna Pearman, Rick Nightingale, and Arnold Sachs.
It was a real joke how you just sat around and took a picture of all the council members in the San Fernando Valley. But you won't bring back video conferencing for the people that want to speak out here. You see, there are crowds of people who have concerns, and if I don't maybe necessarily agree with them. The point is, it's their opinion, and they have the right to speak it. And then you have this guy of the ADA, disabled people, development disabled people, but you don't seem to concerned about bringing access for disabled people in the San Fernando Valley to speak on video conferencing. And I thoroughly agree with her on the guns, because guns do save lives. You go on the internet, you'll see case after case of people whose lives were saved because they were able to protect themselves because the police couldn't be there. It's not just tragedy stories they come up with. These people the guns do save lives, and if they know how to use them, and they know how to use the gun, which gun they should have, then they can be an item that can save lives. And you guys need to stop overspending. That's the big part. And we can't have video conferencing because you have Westfield. They're spending millions of dollars. You have the Twin Towers over there that's spending millions of dollars. And MTA projects with the rail projects that spend millions of dollars, but in the meantime, all our local buses are driving terrible, our buses, and taking away the 761 bus line. That people need to go to the MTA should be should be funded by the private public.
Thank you. No, your time is done. So if I could get Rick Nightingale, Arnold Sachs, and it's the last name is Benitez, maybe Ricardo. Okay, so Mr. Nightingale.
Yes. I don't know what brainstorm idea this was for somebody to turn around and put a bike lane over on Chase Street between Woodman and Van Nuys Boulevard and take 2 lanes that if you go down there, there could be 20 cars backed up at the stop sign. Take a parking lane away and put 2 lanes in there. Somebody had their head where it shouldn't be. And I'll tell you, another thing is this tree deal in the sidewalks. What brainstorm are you people living on our planet that you keep planting trees in the sidewalks. You don't think the new sidewalks are going to come up when you plant the new trees? I mean, you guys are sitting on whatever you think that you think with. I just don't believe the stupid things that you people do. That it's proof that the sidewalks come up when the trees grow. Does that take a rocket scientist? What do we have to do to tell you people to think a little bit before you do something? I just don't understand it. And then you turn around and this thing, I'll tell you, you people have to get this minority thing straightened up. We had a big scandal here, but I'd like to see somebody in this council here turn around and take a lie detector test and say they never spoke with discrimination against anybody in the last month. I'd like to see anybody take that test, and I'll give you $1,000. If you can pass it, I'll give you $1,000. That you turn around and people, you condemn everybody. Sometimes I do speak, and it sounds like I'm a bigot. I grew up in the valley. This place is a sewer hole. It was the greatest place in the world in the 60s and that. I go to Hollywood. I go to the show there all the time. I say I lived in a valley. No matter where I live, it was the greatest place, everybody said. Now look at what it is.
Arnold Sachs.
Yes, thank you. Good morning, Arnold Sachs. I came out here by Metro, actually. I stopped at Metro headquarters to have breakfast, and I picked up a couple of schedules just to make sure that I'd be on time. The Orange Line schedule, effective December 13, 2013. The Red and the Purple Line schedule, effective June 26, 2014. Got here late because they're looking at the schedule that isn't in effect. So why are they handing out schedules that aren't in effect? But the good news at Metro was they were taking control, or they were taking ownership of their new bus, the 900,000 clean fuel bus that they just go, one of 10. $9 million for 10 buses. Who's going to pay? That's the public's footing that bill. And speaking of footing bills, this article was in the newspaper a couple days ago. Tougher foreclosure registry sought. They want to do something about, the foreclosure that we've always talked about with this, when you do the REAP program, how you send out inspectors, and always bring up the fact that you haven't inspected a home that you could get $1,000 for. This story on 6/14 said 36,000 homes in the city of Los Angeles fall under that registry program at $1,000 a day. 36,000 homes. You're talking about budget experts here. 36,000 times 1,000, that's 36 million. That's one home a day, $36 million. But LA's flush with money because they don't need this money. We don't have, the story quotes somebody from the housing department. We only come out when we get calls. 36,000 homes in the city of LA and nobody called. There's a problem there. You ought to look into hiring
Mr.
operators.
Herman.
Los Angeles residents, I want you to be aware that the Los Angeles Department of Public Works has discriminated against persons with disabilities. You have also, at this point, with these barriers which are illegal on streets, still have not been removed. But I'm going to get to a topic that's more important today. It has to do with I, a civil rights activist, an advocate on behalf of most people called Angelenos. And item 31 yesterday, which was Wednesday, 06/04/14, an officer, a sergeant of arms, approached me and grabbed me by the arm. Now, however you want to take it, that was wrong. Mr. Duarte, Sergeant Duarte. However, on item 31, you could hear Herb Wesson at the time of 32 minutes say, I'm going to what? If you do it again, I'm going to show you a special seat outside. So what are you saying to me, Mr. Herb Wesson? What are you actually saying? That you're going to throw me out of a public meeting for speaking under my First Amendment right? That's ridiculous. Now, all of you in Los Angeles, all of you in the Valley are hearing the truth behind this whole issue here. I filed a grievance now against the city for this action of inappropriate behavior to the public. I am a taxpayer as much as all these people here are taxpayers. And Rick's points are very true, and I'm not going to say anything bad because I thought it through all night. That's why I'm here today, to bring out this very educated point that you will not discriminate against any person with disability. You will not threaten any person of the public for making offensive, rude, disruptive comments because they have their First Amendment right, 2007, under Judge Ferguson. Now, if you think you're above the law, wait and see when someone else here is threatened by the Sergeant of Arms in a public meeting. Thank you.
Patty Lopez.
Good morning to all. My name is Patty Lopez, and I'm a resident of the city of San Fernando. And the reason I'm here today is to make aware of a situation is passing right now, and it's all over the media. And just a few people get in attention and do something for our people. These people is being retained in jail in Mexico. This is Sergeant Andrew. So we need to make this awareness in the community and do something about it. Is it unacceptable that somebody try to be honest with the Mexican Council and tell the truth that he has a guns and nobody do nothing about it? And I'm going to say something in Spanish. Necesitamos ser más activos con el gobierno mexicano y las familias que saben de la situación.
We need to do something with the Mexican government and with the families that know about the situation.
Y la razón es como madre de familia, miro las injusticias y los pobres políticos que se sientan y no hacen nada por su gente.
And a mother of a family, and I can see the injustice that the politicians do, and they sit and they do nothing for the citizens.
Cuando el gobierno de México hay una injusticia aquí, se involucran, especialmente los que tienen raíces mexicanas, manden cartas.
When there is an injustice in the Mexican government, they get involved and they send letters, especially those that have Mexican inheritance.
Por este medio estoy haciendo público que vamos a tener acciones políticas para el gobierno de México si no esta persona está siendo suelta de los cargos.
So I'm going to use this media to let you know that we're going to have an action against the Mexican government if this person is not released.
So tenemos que defender a nuestros ciudadanos americanos en los otros países, así como los otros países lo hacen con los estos.
So we have to defend our American citizens in other countries the same way other countries defend their own citizens against us.
Tomen sus puestos políticos para el bienestar de la comunidad, no para verse bonitos y a ganar la nueva posición. Hagan algo.
Please take charge of your positions to do something well, not to look beautiful, but to do something in favor of your people.
And just not look for the next step in your career. Do something for the community. Real. Thank you so much.
Ricardo Benitez.
Good morning, councils. My name is Ricardo Benitez. I'm from Sylmar. And as a father, I had a son who served Iraq, who's serving Afghanistan twice, and he went to Korea. And worried me because he also is a sergeant mayor, and that also worried me about we as a citizen, as American people, we are not standing for our soldiers to any situation they are suffering. This man is suffering over there in Mexico for a mistake that he didn't know the way, that any of us has done any wrong way, but we got the right to turn over here because we don't have that position of suffering. But this man went to the border, he declared that he got guns, he declared that he got permission for that. When he know that was in the wrong way, he stopped, and then the police officer in Mexico tell him, no, you can come and you turn around. And the moment he get in, they arrest him. it's not fair that we as a citizens, as American citizens, we are not doing it for some people over there. And I'm going to address in Spanish too. Yo tengo un hijo que ha estado en Irak, en Afganistán y en Corea, sirviendo a este país, sirviendo por la libertad de todos nosotros que estamos sentados aquí, recibiendo el aire acondicionado. Y no estamos haciendo nada por nuestros American soldiers.
I have a son that has served in Afghanistan and Korea. We are not doing anything for our sons. We're not doing anything for our soldiers.
Así es que yo los invito a ustedes que se involucren como American que somos, como una sola familia, así como representamos a estos jóvenes que juegan fútbol aquí, que vienen y dicen y dan la carita bonita. Así también tenemos que representar a nuestros soldados que están luchando por nosotros para defender nuestra libertad.
The same way we're representing right now these young kids that are playing soccer and they have a beautiful face, we also have to represent our soldiers that are defending our country.
Yo les pido, por favor, que nos unamos en esta lucha de investigar qué es lo que está pasando con este joven, por qué tiene 2 meses encarcelado en México cuando él tiene que estar aquí en su país, donde ha luchado por nosotros. Así es que yo los invito a que participen en esta lucha de liberación de este joven. Muchas gracias.
Translate.
I urge you to please join us in the fight to investigate why is the soldier that is incarcerated for 2 months there, and we're not doing anything to save him. I urge you to please join us in that fight to investigate this case.
Liliana Villarosa.
To say when we go to police, we ask them if they have stickers, and then they say no. So then I just think, why do they have any stickers for us? Because the stickers make us happy. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you very much, Liliana. Very good. John Walsh.
John Walsh blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org. That's what I like about the Brown Act. A 4-year-old child from Brazil could get up here and speak only in Portuguese. You translate it as long as they talked about something that had to do with the city of Los Angeles. That's what makes us different from other states. We have the Brown Act that allows a child, anybody that can speak or a sign, can get up here. I just want you to know we're very, very, very happy about the results of the election. We are now started a group called Democrats for Ashley Swearengin. I don't know if you know her. She's a Fresno mayor. She's running against John A. Perez. She beat him in the early election this week, and she will beat him again. She is, although she is registered as a Republican, she is despised by the Republicans. This is a wonderful woman, and we're going to elect her to our controller because John Perez doesn't deserve this job. Please go to my website, HollywoodHighlands.org. You will see on it, or go to Hollywood at Hollywood Dems, or go to J. Walsh Confidential. All the information. We had a number of very big victories. Calderon, we beat the father and the son. And you know what? That shows us that the Mexican-American community in the San Gabriel Valley will not tolerate crooked politicians. Ian Calderon came in second. Chuck Calderon came in second. And I'm proud of the Americans of Hispanic descent and their votes to kick out their crooked politicians. And now it's time for us white people to kick out our crooked politicians. HollywoodHighlands.org.
That completes public comment for this meeting. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Council has motions for post and referral.
So ordered.
That clears the desk.
Any announcements, members? I have a big announcement. Joe Buscaino is inviting all of us to the harbor, Councilman Buscaino, to celebrate D-Day tomorrow, USS Lane Victory. D-Day happened 70 years ago, and it's quite a program that he has arranged on the USS Lane Victory and the USS Iowa. Let me add the Iowa there, too. Right down the Harbor Freeway, San Pedro Freeway, to the location. Mr. Bonin?
Sunday is the Christopher Street West Parade in the city of West Hollywood. The city of Los Angeles will be having a vintage fire truck as its entry and its float. Mr. O'Farrell and I will be at the parade, as will be a number of you. The mayor will have his own entry as well. And we welcome everyone's participation and attendance. Thanks.
Mr. Fuente.
Thank you, Mr. Labange. Join us in Mission Hills tomorrow night from 6 to 8, probably later. It's our movie in the park. The feature will be Disney's Frozen. Mission Hills Neighborhood Council is sponsoring the event. Come out. We will have free drinks, popcorn, and raffle prizes tomorrow. Frozen, Mr. Labange. We'll see you there.
Mr. Weezar.
Thank you. And on the east side, anybody interested in exploring the arts, we will have a tour of some recently painted utility boxes by 7 or 9 local artists who were selected to paint utility boxes. We will begin at 1 o'clock at Mariachi Plaza in Boyle Heights.
Very good. That's at Boyle and First Street. Right. Mr. Krikorian.
And Mr. Fuentes, I hope my daughter at home is not watching, or else we may be seeing Frozen for the 10th time. Mr. President, I'd like to ask that number 4 be sent forthwith. And another very important announcement that I have is that my policy director, Matt Hale, will be celebrating his birthday tomorrow. So I want to wish...
All right. Happy birthday. Ms. Martinez.
Thank you, Mr. Labange. And tomorrow we'll be celebrating the Van Nuys, the 50th anniversary celebration of the Van Nuys Community Police Station and Library. It starts at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning at the police station in front of the courtyard. You're all invited to attend.
Thank you. No other announcements? Mr. O'Farrell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yesterday evening, I had the great pleasure of kicking off a new exhibit at the Hollywood Museum with my colleague Mike Bonin called Real to Real in honor of LGBT Heritage Month. The exhibition is Portrayals and Perceptions of Gays in Hollywood, an entertaining and informative retrospective of LGBT images in film and television throughout the decades. This showcase will run from June 6th, from yesterday, to July 21st, coinciding with Heritage Month. It's really an amazing exhibition, and I urge everyone to check out the Hollywood Museum at Highland, just south of Hollywood Boulevard. And I don't have the hours in front of me, but it's basically late morning until mid-evening.
Very good.
Thank
you. I also want to ask number 11 to go forthwith on that. Any other items before us, members? Any adjourning motions? We have one adjourning motion. Please all rise for adjourning motions. Please all rise. Thank you, our guest. Mr. Koretz.
Colleagues, I'd like to adjourn in memory of Paul Jolly. Paul passed away peacefully in his sleep, surrounded by loving friends, and he dedicated his life to saving pets. He worked tirelessly for several humane organizations, but he did his best work as executive director of the Petco Foundation. He raised enormous amounts of money and gave it to those who needed it to make the world a more compassionate place. Paul will be remembered and missed by hundreds of people across the country who he spoke to and were touched by his stories, which often left no dry eye in the house. He was survived by his loving partner and spouse of 25 years, Rick Feldman, and his many loving friends. Donations in Paul's memory to the Golden West chapter of the ALS Association would be appreciated, and may he rest in peace.
Thank you very much. Seeing any other adjourning motions, continue to serve the city well. Have a safe weekend, and thank you and your staffs and all city employees for their service to the city of Los Angeles. This meeting's adjourned. Thank you.